Tone Deaf is the journey of a musical theater nerd, bringing musicals into the life of their musically challenged spouse. The reactions to the musicals are real and mostly unedited. This show is for ages 14 and up, because sometimes you just need to use a swear. Now sit back, relax, and have a laugh. You're listening to Tone Deaf.
Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
Alright, so if I was an opera podcast wife, then I would have us watch La Boheme before we watch this show. But I'm not, so we aren't, and we'll do it on the spin-off show coming up called Tone Deaf, Guida di Onore del Teatro per il loro coniuge sfidato musicalmente.
I'm not saying that.
I took 1 year of Italian because I'm a bad Italian,
I'm not saying that because I can't say it.
It's okay. We're not really doing a spin-off show.
I think my tongue would eat itself in protest.
Did you hear mine eating itself going, you took 3 years of Latin and 4 years of Spanish and 1 year of Italian. What are you doing, you monster?
Sounds about right.
So, today we're doing Rent. And, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently in this, when I was going into what we were going to be watching today regarding Rent, at first I thought that the only option we would really have for you to have subtitles would be the 2005 movie. And I love the 2005 movie. I do think that it's a good way to introduce you to it. However, there was a Fox Live version. Wow, that was a heavy sigh from Latte. Yeah, no, Goober, we're not watching that one. So, there was a Fox Live version, but everyone at work was pretty much saying how difficult it was to understand people.
Music was too loud and the dialogue was too quiet.
Yeah, and so I didn't want us to have that be your introduction. And then as I was getting everything ready for this, I found the 2008 final performance on Broadway, legally, with subtitles.
Fantastic.
So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing this as a two-part episode. We're going to watch the 2005 movie first, because there are some changes from stage to film that we'll talk about further on in this episode. But then, next episode, we'll watch the 2008 final performance. So, to start into this episode, we're just going to do kind of a bare bones, this is Rent, this is the background, and then our next episode we can kind of delve more into the history of the show, the history of the Rent heads, which are the fans of Rent, because this show had a huge cultural impact, which you'll understand as we go into this. So, this musical was written by Jonathan Larson and is one of his best-known musicals. This was originally a collaboration between Larson and playwright Billy Aronson. Aronson was the one who had originally conceived this modern musical adaptation of La Boheme by Puccini, but Larson kind of went with it more. Like, he ended up kind of taking ownership of it, fleshing it out more. The show is going to be set in the East Village of New York City rather than in Paris, as it is in La Boheme, and where tuberculosis was the disease that plagued our main characters in La Boheme, we're going to be dealing with AIDS in this show.
Okay, because I always knew that, in my mind, Rent, when I heard you talk about Rent or other people, I knew Rent was AIDS the musical. I was going to ask if La Boheme was AIDS the opera, but I guess it's Tuberculosis the opera.
Yeah, it's Tuberculosis the opera, which we'll go into it a little bit more in depth later, because I do want us to also see La Boheme, but we're not an opera podcast, so that's not our main goal.
What does bohème mean? Do you know?
So it would be like the bohemians, the people who are the artists, the counterculture of the time.
Okay.
Generally starving artists, very poor, which you will see in Rent, holy smokes. So a lot of this show is when AIDS was at its scariest. It was definitely a death sentence at this time. Right now, it still is, but not to the horrifying extent that it was.
Well, I know that now there are, there's treatments and medications so people who have HIV
and have access to those medications.
I should make that clarification. People who have access to the medications, are able to live for years and years and years and really only suffer severe declining health even decades after diagnosis, kind of thing. Yeah. It definitely is better for those who have access to it. Yeah. And so when you're saying the height of the, the height of the AIDS crisis, so would that be like the 80s?
This would be the 80s into the 90s. This show will take place in the early 90s. Okay. So this is, you're realizing that, okay, straight people can have AIDS too. Because before this, it was considered a gay disease.
It was considered a gay man's disease, and so they didn't take it seriously. And then, what? Straight people can get it?
Yeah, there's a really good movie that I can't remember if you've seen it or not, or if it was just my mom and I that saw it, called The Normal Heart.
I did not see it.
It is really good. It's based off of a play, and we should watch it sometime, just because that gives you a really good insight into how scary this time period was. But we'll go into that later, because I'll give you a little bit more background on Rent instead of going on a tangent about AIDS, though this is kind of helpful and tangentially related to Rent. So with Larson, he put a lot of his own early adult life into this play, so you'll see things like having an illegal wood-burning stove inside of your New York apartment because it was so cold, but you couldn't afford to pay for the heat. You'd have tent cities outside of, lots and stuff because people couldn't afford to live in New York. And it's pretty much from his own experiences in that regard. Now there are a lot of people who, because of Rent, think, oh, so Jonathan Larson was a gay man who had AIDS. He was actually straight, didn't have AIDS, but he was living in the East Village, and there was a gay community there, and AIDS impacted you there, so, there's where that comes in, because he's making this as real as possible. When he was composing this, he ended up with hundreds of songs for this show. And yes. And ended up with 42 by the time that the first table read occurred. The first table read kind of led to him realizing that it needed to be pared down.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have a 3-hour musical, and that's if it's a sung-through musical, where they're just singing the whole damn time.
And, this feels like an opera, the way that that it's written and the way that it's performed. There are a lot of songs that didn't make the cut to the final play, obviously. The workshop reading was at the New York Theater Workshop and was actually starring Anthony Rapp, who plays Mark, in the Broadway production as well as the movie that we're going to be seeing.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh my gosh. And then Daphne Rubin Vega was Mimi, that's who she plays in the Broadway show as well. From 1993 to 1996, the show went through several revisions before its scheduled preview on January 25th of 96.
Okay.
So, the night before the show is to open, we have our final dress rehearsal, and Larson has an interview regarding the show. And this is because this was being released around the 100th anniversary of La Boheme. This was going to be his only interview about this show, because January 25th, early in the morning, Jonathan Larson suffered an aortic aneurysm from undiagnosed Marfan disease.
Ooh.
And he didn't make it. Had this been caught in time, he would have probably lived, at least to see the premiere of his show. But they still went on that night, dedicating the show in his honor.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. The preview, they basically just did a sung-through table, or not table read, but like, it wasn't the fully blocked show. If I remember right from, because my notes, I, for some reason, didn't write that part down. But it got really successful. Like, they opened off Broadway after these previews, first at the New York Theater Workshop, and it sold out to the point where they had to move it to Broadway.
Nice.
And it moved to Broadway in April of 96. And it actually won a Tony for Best Musical, Best Original Score. Like, this show was just a phenomenon. And it's kind of an odd staging, and we'll go into it when we see the stage production. But the stage production feels like a workshop theater production. It does not feel like this lavish Broadway production. It's very rough around the edges.
So when you say a workshop theater production, guess just going off of what my brain pictures subject me to, that almost sounds like people, almost kind of like Whose Line Is It? Where people are kind of like they have a set thing, but at the same time they're kind of, like you're saying, workshopping. They're acting it out and then changing things as they go, and like it doesn't sound solid.
This show definitely is not, like, it's one of those things where a lot of shows, and we'll go into this with Seussical, they will have their first previews, or like they'll do previews for an audience and then go back and go, okay, we need to change this. Jonathan Larson died right before previews happened.
So he wasn't able to give any...
Yeah, there's
input.
no feedback, and no one was going to change what he did, which, when we get into this a little bit more, that does lead to some of the things with some of the characters that we're basically, like, in this time bubble where you've got so many things that the LGBT community has discovered about itself that doesn't reflect in Rent. Even things that we were discovering about ourselves in the 90s that doesn't get reflected because the show won't ever leave the stage it's in because the creator is gone. And it's not like with Oklahoma or with Rodgers and Hammerstein where it's been enough time to do that. And it's just, it's very interesting. There's a really good article, it's on out.com that talks about mostly this same thing, but with Angel, who's a character in the show that is listed as a drag queen, but she lives most of her life feminine. And so, and you'll see that she's referred to as her, but then after her death, which spoilers, but it's AIDS the Musical.
Yeah, I already knew that. Because I know just over the years hearing people talk about, and so sad when Angel, so I already knew that.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where there's that's why I want us to see both versions. Because the movie, it's more traditional, more like... I mean, the stage play is fleshed out. It is 100% fleshed out. It is complete. But the movie feels a little different compared to the play. Which will make more sense. So... to go off of the fact that this is based off of La Boheme, we have characters that are actually direct parallels to characters in Puccini's opera. Like, there is a character named Mimi, who has tuberculosis. We have another character in Rent named Mimi Marquez. She's got AIDS. She's the main love interest of the main character, Roger, who is the singer-songwriter musician who also is HIV positive, and he is based off of Rodolfo, who would be the poet in La Boheme, the main character. You have Marcello and Mark. You have Chenard and Angel Dumont Chenard. You have Colleen. You have Tom Collins. You have you have their landlord Benoit, and he is Benny in this.
Benoit.
It's just, there are a lot of nods to the original material. They mentioned Musetta's Waltz, which is in it's in La Boheme, because Musetta is a character in La Boheme. She's the singer who translates to Maureen, who's the bisexual performance artist that will have one of the strangest scenes that I was listening to this today at work, preparing myself, and just laughing because I forgot about this one scene. So, like I said, there are going to be parallels to La Boheme, and if we were an opera podcast, I probably would have had us watch that first, but I wasn't thinking about it.
Well, we're not an opera
because
podcast.
we're not an opera podcast, but we will cover La Boheme eventually, because eventually we'll want to cover operas, because they're tied in.
They're the European cousins of musicals.
They're the musicals. I would say they're the
precursors.
Yeah, they're the grandmother to musicals, or maybe great aunt. They might be the great aunt to musicals. Yeah.
Final answer?
No final answers here. We always evolve and change.
There is no certainty.
There is no future. There is no past. You'll get it in about 5 minutes.
I was about to say, it's like, oh, Kay is delving into some philosophical territory. How do I... Oh, okay, it's a reference to what I will see soon.
So, like I said, for this episode, we're going to cover the 2005 movie. The cast for the film is going to have some heavy hitters of both the stage and screen. Screen, not scream. So, you might not recognize the names of Anthony Rapp, Taye Diggs, and Adam Pascal, but you will recognize Rosario Dawson.
Kinda.
Okay. And Idina Menzel.
Again, kinda.
You'll recognize her as soon as she starts singing.
Okay.
Then again, in our next episode, we're going to do a more in-depth discussion on the stage version, on sort of the differences between the two, as well as the cultural impact, because there is a major cultural impact for this show. And like I said, I would suggest to folks that are interested in this show, there is a really good article about the character Angel on out.com called Angel's Gender Identity, Rent's Most Enduring Mystery. And that was because as a non-binary individual, I kind of identified with Angel the most out of any of the characters. I mean, granted, Angel was assigned male at birth, I'm assigned female at birth, but there's still sort of this fluidity. So yeah, it's interesting. I do wish that I love Angel, so I wish that there was more focus on her in this, but you take what you can get. And like I said, this show is forever in that little bubble of 1996 because of Jonathan Larson's tragic death.
So at what point does his tragic death just become history and someone in theater revises the show.
When it makes enough money, like when there's enough money in it. I hate to say that, but
that's probably the most accurate answer.
If you think about it, a lot of these shows are the ones that were wildly popular and made a ridiculous amount of money. Like, Oklahoma's been revived over and over and over. The issue with Pirates of Penzance is copyright issues because, well, we went into that with Pirates of Penzance. Copyright wasn't really a thing. And that's the case with some of these older shows, too. And then in other cases, the people that are reviving it are still alive to give input.
Gotcha.
We don't have that with Jonathan Larson. We don't have really any way to say, hey, can we update this and have it be more obvious that we're accepting that let's say that bisexual people do exist outside of just a line in La Vie Boheme, or outside of, because they don't identify this character Maureen, who would be considered bisexual. They only ever call her a lesbian, but she is very obviously she's dating Mark, and then she dates Joanne, and then but she also is kind of, you could call her a free spirit, you could call her polyamorous, but she also doesn't really consent with anybody. I mean, like, regarding her other partners, so it's sort of, it's one of those frustrating things with this show, because I love it so much, but there's so many things that are outdated now. And there are so many identities that don't get to exist in this show.
That really would have... This would be the ideal show to present them in.
Yes.
It's interesting you're talking about that, because the creator is dead, no one's updated it. I would think that would make it easier to update because the creator's dead. That there would be fewer people to be like, no, this is my work, you can't.
He does still have an estate. Mm. And so that would be part of it. And
I don't know. Then again, who knows? I do not know. Did he have a wife, husband?
No.
Okay. So whoever is in charge of his estate that still holds the rights to this, that controls it. I don't know. I would almost think that if someone could present a well thought out, updated version to it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know. It's a good way to modernize it and bring these same issues into the foreground again.
Yeah.
And, oh God. With what's going on right now.
This would be the perfect year to do that.
Well, so this is a little bit of a joke, but also not really, because this is a dumb thing.
Oh.
It would be interesting to update it, and the diseases that people get are because of not getting vaccinations, because of... Yeah. There'd be a way to do that.
No.
Sorry.
Because AIDS is still an issue. It's just not... People... Then again, measles was also an issue. Tuberculosis was an issue. Still is in some places. But, like, I think part of my issue, too, is that you didn't understand... Even though the trans community has existed forever, you don't have that necessarily out front, even though that's who started Pride. So I don't know. I get a little bit, like I said, I get frustrated with this show because it's so good in so many respects, but in other respects it's
not living up to its potential.
Yeah, and it's all because there's just that tragedy of losing such a good composer, because you know that if there had been more time to workshop again after previews, or like, what could have been? That's what this is. That's the tragedy, is it's a what could have been, because it's already amazing. But especially in this day and age, like, what could have happened? What could have happened with this show? So that's my little soapbox here. I've gone over our usual time. This might be a longer episode, listeners.
It is a part 1 of 2.
It is a part 1 of 2. And I'm really glad that you take really good notes so that we can do the compare-contrast on this one.
Ever since I started using my laptop to take notes and stopped handwriting them.
Yes. And just, yeah, I love this show so much. It's a show that when you first see it as a kid, you focus on the fact that, oh, they said a swear. Oh, they mentioned sex. They did all this, like, oh, it's really risque. Out there and risque. And then as you get older, it sort of makes you think more, and then it makes you sad for the fact that you're never going to see Rent focus on these communities that have existed within the LGBT community since its inception. I don't know, it was one of those things when I was doing research for this episode and seeing that in the script and in everything, Angel is 100%, this is a drag queen. And I'm going, but Angel reminds me so much of my own identity as a non-binary person. Just flipped. Except for that I don't pass as male because I'm okay with... I guess I'm a little bit more fluid that way. That I either go, what is gender? Oh, I feel female. Hey, I look cute with my hair kind of shorter and in jeans. And not as girly.
You look cute always.
Aw, thanks. But love you.
Love you.
So, let's go and watch Rent. Let's get our tissues ready. At least for me, because I know that I'm gonna cry. Because I almost cried at work listening to this, and this was just the movie soundtrack, so I'm screwed. So let's take a brief intermission and go watch Jonathan Larson's masterpiece, Rent. Woo! Alright, before we get to Warren's review of this show, we want to take a quick moment and just thank our Playbill and stage crew sponsors.
Our Playbill sponsor, Jasmine Wu, and our stage crew sponsor, Bianucci. Thank you both so much for your continued patronage and support of our humble little podcast.
We really, truly appreciate everything you've done for us, you guys. Thank you so much. Now, let's listen to a brief ad from one of our favorite podcasts called History on Blast.
Hello, and welcome to History on Blast. I'm Hillary, and I'll be your host as we call out history. Every other week, we'll be putting a different person, place, time, or event on blast for the shit that they pulled. This ain't your grandpa's history podcast, so if this sounds like your cup of harbor tea, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast catcher.
And now, the lights are going down and the music is starting back up, so let's hop into the second act of the show. Alright, so I have tossed out my Kleenexes, and I have taken a nice little break, and now it's time to find out. What did you think of Rent, Warren?
Are you positive you want to know?
Oh God, no. Oh God.
525,600 spoofs. 525,000 bad jokes to make. 525,600 references. How many references can I make?
That was not where I thought you were going, so I am very pleasantly surprised.
So, for those of you who don't know, when Kay and I got married, I gave her my heart. So all the normal human emotions that I'm supposed to feel get transferred to her via the black hole wormhole inside of my chest that's linked to hers. So while Kay legitimately did cry, I only get angry at the scenes that are supposed to make me cry, and then I yell at the TV.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So, I didn't cry, I didn't get sad, I just got angry.
Just said, really?
Yeah, just lots of that. I liked it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the show. I feel bad making jokes with this show.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker sure didn't with Team America.
Yeah, but nothing is sacred to them.
That's true.
So I guess I will preface this with I'm sorry if you don't find these jokes funny. I think I did. I don't know. I was trying to pull humor from a musical that really didn't have a lot of humor to pull from. The overall tones that I gathered from this musical was supposed to be desperation, hope, love, desperation, hope, love.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the overarching emotional themes and roller coaster to this.
Yeah. Roller coaster is right.
So, the show opens with Mark, the cameraman. Mark is the cameraman. With Mark filming stuff and riding his bike and talking about how he can't pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to Roger, who's singing about how they can't pay rent.
Yep.
And the lights are off in their apartment, and so they decide that they're just gonna burn all of their eviction notices for warmth/heat.
Mm-hmm.
Or, for light/heat, because they have no power and no heat in their apartment. And apparently so does everybody else on the block. And so the opening scene was actually quite spectacular.
Yeah.
Just everybody on the street lighting their eviction notices on fire and basically saying, we're not going to pay rent, we're not going to pay rent. Go screw yourselves, we're not going to pay rent.
You know what? It's like the Gen X version of the draft card burning scene in Hair.
Yeah, that's actually
it's the Gen X version.
That's a pretty fair way to equate it. I missed a joke that I had wrote in the very beginning because I wasn't sure how to open this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have named this Mortgage the Musical. Which that's how you do like a spiritual successor to this set in the modern day. You have a bunch of people, like as many as you could do, like 7 to 10 people who are renting a house together.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can all pool their money to pay the
so that would be
mortgage.
the millennial version.
That would be the millennial version of rent, would be called mortgage.
It would be a bunch of 40 to 30-year-olds very depressed. Because
you'd have early 20s to mid 30s.
There's some millennials who are turning 40, so yeah.
Well, moving along from that depressing note, the opening is basically poor artists can't pay rent and get mugged on the street. A story as old as time. How old has the concept of rent been around? I'd imagine a very long time.
Yeah, it's pretty old. Pretty old concept there, because we're horrible as a species.
Some pissed off poor people burn their eviction notices for both warmth and light. Think of the trees.
And then the Lorax popped out.
Then the Lorax popped out. Oh man. Well, then Lorax would be way more pissed off at the fact, it's like, there used to be a whole grove of trees here, as far as the eye could see. after the initial opening song and dance pyrotechnics number, Mark and Roger have a run-in with their former friend slash sort of friend slash villain of the show.
Yeah,
kinda. Benny.
He's the landlord who married
he's
into
the
wealth.
son of the landlord.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. Benny is the villain, or so. He used to be cool, but now he's not. He married up, and now he's punching down on all of his former friends. And he's definitely a tool.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's supposed to be sympathetic or empathetic or anything. He's not as evil as he could. Well, okay, he's not evil. He could be evil.
Yeah.
He definitely has moments where he's trying. But overall, he's just kind of a douche.
Yeah.
I don't really care for Benny. Then... Oh, yeah, that's right, because in the beginning, Mark and Roger are excited because their friend Tom Collins is back in town, and when they throw him the keys so he can get up to the apartment, and when he's heading over, he gets mugged.
Yep.
And gets the crap beat out of him, and gets his coat stolen, and then we are introduced to Angel.
The best character in the show.
Who is an angel by helping Collins after he was mugged. Yay, New York! I liked Angel. Angel was just a sweetheart. And it's sad later. After that bit of introductions, yes, we then are treated to Rocking Roger. He has an empty wallet, and he stays home when Mark goes to look for Collins, because he's like, where's Collins? It's been a while. He should be up here. We threw him the keys, and he's somewhere, but he's not here. And Mark goes to go look for him. Collins decides he's going to stay home. Yeah, sorry. Mark's going to go look for Collins, and Roger decides he's going to stay home and mope around. He goes up to the rooftop to sing the song of his people. One last song. One blaze of glory. After Roger's song draws the attention of Mimi, who wants Roger's wee-wee. Mimi is flirty and drops her heroine-y and has a song and dance number. Nice ass, Mimi. She has a line in there about, they say I have the nicest ass...
Below 14th Street.
Below 14th Street. Yeah, she has a nice butt. I mean, not gonna complain. And then after Roger basically tells Mimi to leave after trying to hide her heroin, but she sneaks it out of his pants where he was hiding it. We then go back to Mark. Mark gets a call. Oh, yeah, it cuts to the morning, because it takes place Christmas Eve, right? The eviction notice is Christmas Eve.
The movie does.
Movie does. Okay, so the show does not.
The show has a different timeline.
Gotcha. Well, okay, so I didn't realize this until later, but it is Christmas Eve in the movie, and then it comes to Christmas morning, and Mark gets a call from his family, and he has a line where he says, when I'm hungry and I'm freezing and I wonder why am I here... Apparently he doesn't like his family, I guess.
They're just overbearing.
Well, they seem nice. They love him.
Yeah.
And there's worse things than having a loving, supporting family, Mark. You pretentious douche. But Mark gets a call from his family and realizes he'd rather be hungry and freezing than deal with his family. Tough break, bro. I love my family personally, but, okay, I guess to each their own. If you want to be an angsty film artist, you can hate your family who's just calling to wish you a Merry Christmas. That's all that they're doing. I do love his dad's line, because Mark is talking about how Maureen dumped him, and his dad has a line on the message talking about, she wants to go be a lesbian, let her. She doesn't know what she's missing out on. It's like, thanks, Dad, I guess. Oh shoot, skipped, sorry.
It's one of those things that watching it this time through, I'm kind of like, come on, man. Her leaving Mark for a woman isn't supposed to be funny necessarily, like everyone laughing about it. I'm kind of like, no, she just will leave Mark for anyone, and she'll leave Joanne for
Joanne hasn't
anyone.
been introduced yet.
No, but
yeah, but actually, no, I think they have. I think they did mention.
They
Joanne.
mentioned her at the start.
The thing that's interesting about that is, I think the laughing comes from is from a guy's perspective, I think it's emasculating to
Yeah.
have a woman leave you for a woman.
Mhm.
Which, to me personally, if that happened, I'd be like, oh, like I think it would be easier to have a woman leave me for another woman than have a woman leave me for another
Mhm.
man, because
Mhm.
there's no direct comparison. It would be like, oh, okay, well, she's being true to herself, not
Mhm.
she likes this dude more.
Mhm.
So, I think that's probably where it comes in a little bit. But after the overbearing message of love from Mark's family, Colin shows up with Christmas booze and a Christmas angel bearing a Christmas miracle of rent money and a song and dance about murdering a dog, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
yeah.
exactly what happens.
Okay, song about murdering the dog.
Akita, Evita.
Which I love the reprise of that later.
Yes.
Mark gets a call from his ex, Maureen.
Mm-hmm. Maureen.
Yeah, I said Moraine, which is from Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I just got Wheel of Time on the brain.
Oh, all day, every day. Mark gets a call from his ex who needs his help. Say no, Mark. 2 letters, N-O. It's the same in Spanish. Ask Angel. Mark then goes down to where... Wow, now I have to actually focus on saying the name correctly. Maureen. That is right.
Maureen.
Right? Maureen.
Mm-hmm.
I need because
Not Maureen.
I spelled it correctly in my notes. I need to remember that it's pronounced like Maureen,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess Moron E. I should have called her that, Morani. There, you know what? That's her name now, Morani. Mark goes down to help Morani with her setup, I guess, because she's holding some show / protest /
What
crime
the hell
against
was that?
crime against the arts and humanity. And her new girlfriend Joanne is there, who is a fancy lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and she is not happy to see Mark at all. And she says that she hired an engineer, but he's 3 hours late. Mark's like, well, can I help anyway? And they have a nice little bonding moment
Mm-hmm.
over how much Maureen sucks.
Yeah.
Morana. And I actually really liked that bit. Because Mark gets some one-on-one time with Joanne, and they bond over how much Maureen sucks. Stop portraying bi people as sluts.
Yeah. There's a reason why it took me a long time to come out about that, because that's often the stigma with us.
Yeah, and I kind of felt with Joanne, or Joeen. God,
Maureen.
I am having the hardest time with names right now. Joanne, and Mark's message to her was basically, you can dance the Maureen tango until you're tired of it.
Yeah.
And, just that woman, the way they're talking about it, I'm like, just leave her. She's
Mhm.
obviously poison.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that she was in the musical the entire time.
Mhm.
Because it kind of felt like she could have not been in it and it would have been okay.
Yeah.
Because she's selfish, and I don't feel like she really contributes to the group all that much.
Yeah.
If anyway.
Yeah,
She's just loud and abrasive, and it's all about me. I'm the center of attention.
You
me,
know
me,
what?
Me.
They could have just let it go.
That's right. Oh, I have a joke. Okay, hold on to that.
All right.
I have a joke in here later about that. Okay, so that's right. Mark previously gets invited to the life support meeting, which was the AIDS help group,
Mm-hmm.
basically AIDS support group, and he's like, "Oh no, it's okay. Oh no, I won't go." And then after he's done helping Joanne with Maureen's setup, Mark shows up at the life support meeting and is super awkward, being the AIDS man out of the group. You should know better than to take a drink of something when I'm speaking. You never. It's like a shark in the water. You never know when a joke's gonna creep up. I almost made Kay spit her drink all over her computer.
And instead I choked because I didn't want to hurt anything.
What was
But I hurt
other
me.
than yourself? What was funny about that is I saw you reaching for your cup, and I was in the middle of reading this, and I was like, I maybe should stop in case this makes her laugh. And then I was like, well, let's see how this rolls out. So yeah, Mark being super awkward, being the AIDS man out of the group, He manages to catch an impromptu song, which was surprisingly short. As I was typing that note, Kay basically leans over and goes, the actual stage version is longer than the movie. They had to cut some stuff short. And I was like, that's probably a full song right there. Now we go back to Mimi. Mimi talks about not needing money while she's shaking her ass at a stranger and takes bills from him. She's hungry. She's hungry. Someone get Mimi a sandwich. Mimi leaves the club singing in the street and climbs up the balcony at her apartment to creep on Roger. Little does she know, Roger should... Okay, little does she know, Roger should tell you, he should tell you, he should tell you, he should tell you that he's a guitar sexual. Another time, another place, Mimi.
God.
Oh, Mimi is an interesting character because she is such a in the moment free spirit.
Yeah.
And while there is some positivities to that type of mindset, I think it is also a recipe for complete self-destruction.
Yeah.
Because if you're just like, we only have today, why worry about the future? I'm gonna shoot up heroin because...
I'm a teenager. Well, late teenager.
Yeah, well, she's 19.
Yeah.
Still a teenager. But yeah, you're right, late teen. Hey, Roger, Mimi is hot. You should not pass up on something that could be good for you. I'll live, says Mark. Oh, wait. So... I mean, Mark doesn't die in the show, but he does have AIDS.
Roger has AIDS.
That's what I meant.
Not Mark.
Yeah. Ugh, wow, I'm bad with names.
You're
and
fine.
People. But, yeah, because Mark makes the comment to Roger that you shouldn't pass up on something that could be good for you. I don't know how Mark has the AIDS sixth sense and knew that Mimi had it, because I'm just saying, like, there was a lot of drama between Roger being like, well, I like this girl, but how do I tell her that I have AIDS?
Yeah.
And I can imagine being in that situation, it would be incredibly hard to try and start any type of relationship with someone.
Yeah.
When you know that you need to tell them that.
Yep.
Because I would imagine that most people would probably not want to enter into a relationship with someone who has that disease, because...
Yep, that was
stigmatism.
The big issue.
Yeah.
Still kind of is the big issue.
Yeah,
like,
it definitely is. I mean, it's scary stuff. But nice gap in time there. You can edit that out for me, Kay. Anyway,
searching for his notes.
Mark goes back to the life support meeting, watching people who don't care about losing their dignity in this nightmare called life. I may have understood that scene.
Maybe.
Maybe slightly?
Maybe slightly.
Mark tries to help a homeless woman who's being harassed by police. She then tears him a new camera lens. That scene was really interesting. Is that in the show?
So, a lot of the scenes that have speaking in it are sung. And they are, like, full songs.
Is this a sung-through musical in this show?
Not quite.
But close?
It's close. There are a lot of moments that, like,
sung through adjacent? Yeah,
they're sung through adjacent. So, I don't know about that specific part. But... like, there's a whole sequence that, well, you'll see when we do the stage play next week. There are whole sequences that are missing from this, that either they just truncate into short scenes, like with the homeless woman, or they just speak through it, like, a scene that we're going to cover in a little bit with, Roger pulling Mimi away from her dealer before Maureen's performance?
It was
Question mark?
It was a protest.
Protest-formance?
It was an artistic protest.
A performance. Before her performance, which, that's generous,
Very generous.
That actually is like a whole song, and it's very cool. But it's
With the homeless woman telling him to go screw himself?
well, no, like just I was giving an example of where they've kind of cut down a scene to just, hey, we're going here,
gotcha.
and then
You're
part B.
You're talking about the Lose My Dignity song, right?
No. So
sorry.
back up.
Sorry,
Back up.
I'm confused.
You're fine. So I was just explaining that scenes like the one that you're talking about with the homeless woman were cut down. Like there's a scene that we're getting to right before Maureen's quote unquote performance where Mark pulls Mimi away from her dealer, and the dealer's like, "You steal my client, you die."
Oh.
That's part of a song.
Oh, gotcha.
So the whole
So the dealer gets a song.
everyone in that area gets basically is in this one song that you'll see once we
Okay.
do the stage play.
Gotcha. Okay.
Did I mention that we are very tired?
We say that every week.
Yeah, that's the millennial life right there. Perpetually tired.
Gotta work to pay the rent. Yeah. After the homeless woman yells at Mark, everybody takes the subway together, and Collins pole dances on the subway, singing about leaving New York and opening up a restaurant in Santa Fe, and save from devastation their brains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I copied down a line he actually said, but without music.
Yes.
It sounds weird reading it back. So, save their brains from devastation. Let's put it that way. After they get off the train, Mark rushes off to Maureen's sound check because he lost his dignity and is still living in the tango nightmare. We then get to have a really sweet moment with Angel and Collins. They enter into a verbal agreement to exchange sex for room and board. I mean,
don't think that's what that song...
I mean, 1,000 kisses, 1,000 sweet kisses. I mean, it sounds like a pretty sweet arrangement to me. How about it, Kay? You pay all the rent and I give you kisses. Kay is giving me a squinty-eyed, look.
I think you misinterpreted that song. That's just them deciding that they just need love for each other.
So Angel wasn't telling Collins to come live with him?
Well, I mean, probably was, but also being like, hey, I love you, and you love me, and let's enter into a love relationship for love, because we just need love.
He says, literally, in the song, you can pay me back in 1,000 kisses. You can live with me, rent-free, just pay me back with kisses.
Yeah, but also, you be my king and I'll be your castle. You be my queen and I'll be your moat. And it's a love song. It's them talking about love.
It sounded like property sex for me.
It's love.
Is it guy love?
It's love.
Actually, I mean, it's love. It's a form. It's love.
It's a form of love.
It's a form of love. It is a cute scene, though. It's a really sweet
that's
scene.
my favorite scene in the whole show.
And then it ends with it ends with a kiss. They do a close up, and they do kissy face, and then
it's adorable.
And then it fades out.
And you just want to have that moment be there for the rest of the play, but it's not. It's not. They just have been and then they live happily ever after forever.
Except with AIDS.
Then they get Magic Johnson. I'm not okay with... Let's keep going. Yeah. Let's keep going.
So, after Collins agrees to property sex with Angel, Roger apologizes to Mimi for not sharing his AIDS with her the other night, but promises he'll make it up to her by sharing it at the Life Cafe after Maureen's protest show. Because he pulls her away from her dealer, and the dealer's like, you take my client, I will kill you. And he's like, oh yeah? And he's like, yeah. And then he apologizes to Mimi for rushing her out of his room. I mean, to be fair, he was just minding his own business, and then this crazy junkie chick climbs up the side of his apartment and enters in through the window. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little... I mean, I don't care
Yeah.
how hot a woman is. If I'm single and she climbs in through my window singing to me, I'm gonna be a little freaked out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, understandably, but, you know, he's trying to open his heart to this woman, but he should tell her, how can he tell her, he should tell her. He doesn't know how to tell her. Maureen has an odd one-woman performance / protest, which becomes a riot, and talks about a cow that produces Diet Coke and Mickey Mouse who drives a yellow truck. Did I understand that correct?
Now you see why I sent you the cow at work. Going...
The, like, sick cow gif
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
cartoon. I don't even know how to explain it.
Moo.
Everybody moo! Come
Such
on, you listening at home
No.
or in your car at work, moo with me.
Actually, yeah, if you're at work,
Moo.
stand on your desk at your cubicle.
Moo. That was a really, really weird song. I think I need drugs just for Maureen's scene. I mean, I need to let it go. I need to just let it go.
Yeah.
Kay explained to me that the woman who plays Maureen in Rent is Elsa from Frozen,
Mhm.
which blew me away because I couldn't hear her as Elsa, but Kay made a good point in her voice, even though she's obviously an adult, her voice matured a little bit 10
Mhm.
years plus later.
Yeah. 'Cause-
And later in the show, in some of the talking scenes, I could kind of hear it.
yeah.
But she's a really good singer.
She is.
I hate her
just...
character in this, but the woman has some
I
pipes.
hate Maureen so much.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of her either, but the actress is really good.
Mhm.
After... So in the middle of Maureen's weird-ass protest show, the cops start breaking it up, and there ends up being a fight, and Mark shoots some footage, and there's just all-around New York shenanigans,
Mhm.
I guess. I don't know, I've never been to New York in the 90s or ever. But after the Positive Gang gathers after the protest...
What?
The Positive Gang. They're very positive in multiple ways. After the Positive Gang gathers after the protest / riot / show and goes to dinner, they find out that they are dining with Benny and his bastard boss / father-in-law. Maureen shows them her star-spangled ass, and they sing about being free and opposing the norm. La vie bohème! That song was actually really good.
Yeah. That one's great.
It was very nonsensical. There were parts where I felt like they were just saying words that rhymed but didn't necessarily even go together in terms of like context or anything. It was a very I would say that song was the equivalent of if you know like in movies those ransom notes where they cut out a letter from different things in a magazine to form a sentence. That's what that musical was like. It was like a ransom of your sanity, and all the lyrics were just different pieces of other things pasted together to form a sentence.
You know, you saying that suddenly made me think about something. This is Hair with a plot. This is Gen X Hair with a plot.
More AIDS and less drugs.
Yeah, more AIDS, less drugs, but like...
But yeah,
This is Gen X's Hair,
you
and
know, that is actually...
I'm kind of wondering... Yeah.
That's a very, very accurate summation of it.
I would hesitate to say that this show at all would be... Like, even though there's a lot of millennials who are rent heads, this show is Gen X. Like, 100% this is that generation, because that's the generation that Mark and Roger would be in, and this is their hair. That's what I say, glasses of Chianti into this.
I think that's very, very accurate, just because both of those shows have a group of youths who are opposing the systematic norm in America and are essentially rebels, to kind of what society says they should be.
They have at least one word salad song.
Yeah, Except in Hair, they're all a bunch of orgy-having, drug-using hippies, and in Rent, they're all a bunch of, well, half of them are artists, the other half are not artists.
Some are using drugs.
Some are using
aren't.
drugs, no orgies, a lot of AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, like 50% of the main cast has AIDS in this.
Yes.
So it's like, there's a lot of AIDS.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to make light of AIDS, but I seek humor in uncomfortable and or dark situations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my defense mechanism, and that's how I explain the rest of my jokes. So, oh, and then during the La Vie Boheme song, we have, and I waited. I'm gonna wait till you're not drinking when I say this.
My drink down
Because it has one of the greatest lines, I think, ever from anything I've ever seen, read, watched, listened, anything, period.
Yeah.
Sodomy is between God and me.
Yes.
That is the greatest line ever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great. And then Roger sneaks Mimi out into the snow. Actually, it was before that. They're in the restaurant, and Mimi lets Roger know that she has AIDS, and he's like, "You too? Me too."
Mm-hmm.
And then he feels this weight lift off of him, like, oh, it's like, she has AIDS too. It's okay to like her. And then they go out into the snow, and they have their little romantic scene where
Mm-hmm.
they're just kind of like apologizing for how things went, and and kind of trying to move forward with this fledgling relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after that, we have an act break with 525,600 future heartbreaks.
Yeah, there's a line in that particular reprise that's how do you measure, or how do you figure a last year on Earth? And that's the moment where you go, oh, by the end of this, at least one person will be dead.
525,600 minutes. 525,000 tears to shed.
Yep.
That was Kay.
And I shed them all.
Kay shed my share of them. So after the act break, we cut to New Year's in New York. Mark is getting everyone's New Year's resolution on film. My resolution for this show is to not end sad. Which... Kinda.
I was still crying at the end. But
yeah, Kay was crying. I was more pissed off than anything else. We'll get to that. So, Maureen still sucks. Big surprise. We find out that they've been locked out of their apartment, but Angel has a trash can up her sleeve, and trash can versus padlock, trash can wins. So, the reason I was saying Maureen still sucks... I guess a part that I had left out was when they were meeting at the restaurant, Mark was late, and we find out Mark was late because the footage that he captured of the performance / riot / whatever it was is going to be on the news. And it turns out that he has had offers to be an independent, not reporter, but cameraman?
Yeah.
I guess? And Maureen just sucks, and she's like, oh, it's all because of me that you even got this. Just her.
She's a me monster.
She is a me monster. And I just despise her. But anyway, cutting to that. And then they all try to go back to their bodega of love and find out that they've been locked out. Angel saves the day. They go back in, and let's see, wait. Oh yeah, and so to raise the money, Mark goes into the corporate world to sell his soul with Joanne's help. Joanne sees Maureen flirting with the secretary and gets mad. But they settle that argument with Maureen proposing to Joanne. And if you look in the back, you can see Mark's heart shattering. Poor, poor Mark. But you and Joanne have something in common. A terrible taste in women.
Yep.
And after... yeah. And I thought it was... Okay, so the one thing I will say with Maureen is it was kind of sweet for her to kneel right there, take off one of her rings, and put it on Joanne. I kind of thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
which is immediately undermined by the next scene,
Yeah.
which is them at their engagement party. At Joanne and Maureen's engagement party, Maureen already breaks her commitment by being flirty with the bartender, then sings about how she can't help being the way she is. Spoiler! Neither takes either for who they are. Joanne is great, Maureen,
Yeah.
Yep. And then when some time has passed and they go back to their pad and all their shit is back.
Mhm.
That's Roger's words. Hey, our shit is back. And Benny is sitting in there. Benny shows up to make a peace offering since Mimi changed his mind. How did she change his mind? But Roger is not okay with the fact that Benny and Mimi had a thing 2 years ago when Mimi was 17. Totally okay. Mimi has her without song, and we get treated to people dying. So, recap of that word salad. So Benny shows up and he's like, hey, I have a new lease for you guys. You guys could live here rent-free, blah, blah, blah. And Mark basically shows him his check and says, you can shove it up your ass. I'm making money and we're going to live here without your black-hearted charity. And I mean black-hearted as in sinister, not because the man Benny is black. And
God damn it.
And he says that Mimi changed his mind and blah, 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 blah. And Roger's immediately like, oh, yeah, I wonder how she changed his mind. And then Mimi's like, nothing happened. He and I dated a while ago. It's before I met you. And Roger's like, nothing happened before you met me. I'm the center of the universe. It doesn't matter that I had a girlfriend before I met you. You're not allowed to have any boyfriends before you met me. Yeah, it was just dumb thing for Roger to get all pissy about. But then they break up, Roger and Maureen, and then we see Maureen going to Mimi. Sorry, thank you. Like I said, I'm bad with names, and this show, there's a lot of people in it. So, sorry. Roger and Mimi break up, and then we have Mimi's song shows her going back to her dealer, getting some fresh heroin, and proceeding to just jack her life up again. And then we get to see Angel dying.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
And I guess also during that scene when they're at the life support meeting, you start seeing people fading out of chairs, implying that they've died and they're no longer going to those meetings.
Yeah.
So that was, I would say, Angel dying was my absolute least favorite thing in this entire show. Because Angel was such a great character.
Yeah.
And Angel was the most genuine character.
Yeah.
Angel was so much of I am who I am. Angel helped everybody that they could. Angel was just a pillar of positivity and love and compassion.
Yeah.
Angel was a great character. And the entire group really, really feels Angel's death.
Which that has one of my favorite lines, by the way, which I think I'm going to use, which is, I'm more man than you'll ever be, and I'm more of a woman than you're ever going to get.
Thanks, I was getting to that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't have it written down, but I remember that. So it was at Angel's funeral, which happened to be on Halloween, which was their favorite holiday. Everyone talks about how great Angel was, and as soon as the burial is over, they start fighting, even after they told Colin they'd be cool. But during the funeral, it was it Mimi or Maureen?
Mimi.
Okay. Yeah, Mimi, what Kay said, has that line of, it was a skinhead?
Yes.
Goes up to a skinhead and says, I'm more of a man than you'll ever be, and I'm more of a woman than you'll ever get.
Yeah.
And it was just like, some sassiness right there.
I'm gonna use that from now on. Go, Angel.
So it was a great scene, and of course all the friends then proceed to go out after the burial and start bitching at one another. Mimi had heard through whatever, the grapevine that Roger sold his guitar and bought a car. He's like, yeah, I'm leaving, I'm gonna go to Santa Fe. because I just need to get away from New York is kind of what is implied.
Mm-hmm.
Roger leaves New York and goes to Santa Fe, New Mexico, in a car that looks like it runs off of tetanus. While
Tetanus lightning, go.
Yeah.
Tetanus lightning.
While Mark works his new news job that he obviously hates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just has this super pissed off death gaze
Mm-hmm.
when he's doing those scenes, and I feel bad for the guy, but hey, he has rent to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the title of the show. Mark sings on the rooftop and is reunited with Roger magically, because Roger and Mark are both having their life sucks moments, because this is so Roger drives from New York all the way to New Mexico, then sells his car, then buys another guitar,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm like, that's a very interesting way to go about your life. Sell your
Yeah.
guitar, buy a car, drive somewhere, sell your car, buy a new guitar, play, and then not make money, and then decide to go home. It's not, I don't know how efficient of a lifestyle that is, or how sustainable it is, but, these crazy artists are going to be crazy artists.
Mhm.
Nothing that us old folks can say about it. But yeah, and I can't remember the name of the song that they're singing, but it's like, was it Dying in America or something like that?
Yeah, Living in America, and then they end it with "We're dying in America."
Yeah.
At
And
the end of the millennium.
at the end of the millennium, Mark is singing on the rooftop of their building, and that's when you just see Roger basically walk over. We don't ever see Roger come back to New York.
Mhm.
We just see him in New Mexico, and then suddenly he's back in New York, and so we're just left to assume he sold his guitar and bought another car and drove back.
I think it's when he hops on the bus at the bus depot, because there's a moment where he gets on a bus.
I might
So
have
he
missed
probably-
that. Oh no, you're right, because then
Mhm.
that we see him 8 miling, and he's writing
Yeah.
stuff, and all I remember seeing on his.
miling.
If you've seen 8 Mile, that's what Eminem does. He writes rap lyrics while he's taking the bus to go to work and back home. So sorry. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Even though.
Just never heard that as a verb.
But yeah, and I remember when Roger is writing lyrics on his pad, so much of them are scribbled out, and the only thing that he had that wasn't scribbled out was "Your Eyes,"
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, okay, dude. But it makes sense later. Oh shoot! Somehow I got distracted. Okay, so after Roger comes back to New York and rejoins with Mark, we find out that Mimi is missing. No one has heard from her, not even her dealer. Like, everybody's worried.
Mm-hmm.
Last person who saw her said it was 3 weeks.
And she hadn't picked up her AZT.
Yeah, she hasn't picked up her AIDS medicine, and hasn't reported into her job, hasn't gone to any meetings. She's just completely dropped off the grid. And then we cut to Mimi's death scene, which is first ushered in by Colin, and it's a very that whole part right there is the ending to this is a very good reprise of the opening.
Mm-hmm.
Because Colin shows back up, they throw the keys to him, and I love they're like, don't get your ass kicked this time.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's super happy. He's got booze and he's also got money for him. Colin, who has free money, courtesy of Angel's Angel, who has haunted an ATM machine. But yeah, Maureen and Joanne show up with a dying Mimi. Roger sings her his OK song that took all year to write. The song was so bad that it gave Mimi AIDS and killed her. Good job, Roger. You're a murdering musician.
Oh my god. I mean...
Never mind. Mimi didn't die. Angel sent her back to tell Roger that his song sucks and needs another year's worth of work.
So I agree with you there that song does... no. That's another one of those... This could have done with another rewrite.
Yeah.
With that particular song especially. Because it's not that great.
No, it really isn't. It's probably the weakest song of the entire musical, in my
It
opinion.
is. It absolutely is.
And, yeah, I was super pissed off. I mean, because I like Mimi. And then she died, and I'm like, great. Angel dies, and now Mimi dies. Just kidding! Angel was like, "Bitch, you get back down to earth."
Mm-hmm.
And I did like her thing talk about I was in this place, it was warm, and I saw Angel, and she looked great. And I like that line. And, and Colin kind of lights up from that.
Yeah.
And then after Mimi the zombie rises from the dead, we then have Mark, who goes over to his camera, because he had been, during the time when Mark and Roger were separated and Roger was playing music in New Mexico, Mark was working on his film, cutting different things and marking stuff. We see him working on his film, and so he then goes over and plays his film and shows everybody the labor of his love. And it's basically a montage of the entire film. And we try to forget Roger's terrible song with a much, much better song. After all, there is no daylight today.
Yeah.
So.
You know, Roger's song at the beginning, when he's talking about basically he wants his one song, one glory.
Yeah, one blaze of glory.
That is such a good song. And you're like, oh, cool. Roger's a good songwriter. And then you get his actual song he writes and you're like, oh, you're just a hack with a guitar. You're that guy who shows up to parties with a guitar.
It's a much better, that the Blaze of Glory song is a much better song than the Your Eyes song. But I did forget, during that Blaze of Glory song, we are treated to flashbacks of Roger's previous girlfriend, who he met apparently when he was at some gig, and they fell madly in love, and they were both using heroin, and then she got diagnosed with HIV and died off screen. We're led to assume she died of AIDS, and then Kay told me, spoiler, that in the show they talk about that when she gets diagnosed with HIV, she slits her wrists.
Yeah, because I had forgotten that the movie does not tell you straight out that that's what happens. They just say, "Oh, she died," and it's like, no, she slit her wrists in the bathtub.
Yeah,
and so Roger is left, dead girlfriend and AIDS, and
as if one wasn't bad enough.
It's one of those things that this show, it leaves me with so many emotions, and rewatching it, I'm sitting here going, yeah, if this had been able to be workshopped again, then some of the little kinks and inconsistencies could probably, and it's one of those things that we'll see how it compares when we watch the live version, but the movie kind of helps you see that. Helps you see kind of the inconsistencies and some of the issues that come with a show that didn't get another workshop after its preview.
Yeah.
Because
it was still good though.
It's still an amazing show. It's worth every Tony it's won. But boy, it is one of those things where you think about what could have been. What would have happened if Jonathan Larson had not died? What would have happened if he would have been able to pick up the show again 10 years later, 12 years later, and gone, oh, let me tweak some stuff?
I did think it was cool that you said in that opening scene where they're standing on stage singing 525,600 minutes.
Yeah.
You said everybody but two of the people on that stage are the original Broadway
yes,
cast.
And that's also the case for, in the movie, you've got Mark, Roger, Maureen, Collins, Angel, and I want to say Benny are all the original cast members. The only ones that aren't would be Joanne and Mimi. That aren't.
Do you know why they didn't get the original ones?
So Joanne's original actress felt that she had aged out of the role.
Okay.
And then Mimi's original actress was pregnant.
Oh, okay.
And couldn't do it at the time.
Two very valid reasons.
It wasn't like a case of, like with My Fair Lady, where they went, oh, they won't know.
I was worried that would be the case, because I'm like,
no.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool that they got the original Broadway cast to do the movie. I felt like that. I really appreciate the filmmaker's decision to do that.
Yes.
And I thought that everybody did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't had a chance to actually talk about how well I thought everyone did. Like, it was really, really well done.
Yeah.
Like, all the songs were sung really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography was really, really good. I mean, there's a lot of positive things to say about this show, this film. Really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I had to make jokes because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's how you cope with the emotions, because
how I cope with the emotions. I do not like stuff that is too real. It's why I like science fiction and fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
This was pretty real.
Yeah.
This was pretty real. And even though I'm technically part of that community through marriage,
Mm-hmm.
I've never, like, I definitely feel like an outsider looking in,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure is normal,
Yeah.
for a lot of people in regards to stuff of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
Was really, really good. I really, really liked it. I don't think I personally, if I identified with any character, I'd say it was probably Mark.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But really, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Awesome.
I didn't have the same reaction you did because, of course, I have no heart. I don't feel normal human emotions.
I stole it away, so
I gave it to you. Okay, it was part of the contract. I make jokes about dark things to alleviate the tension.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was good.
Good.
Yeah.
So,
do you have anything you want to ask me, or do you have anything you want to?
So, I had meant to mention that this show has had a pretty good run. In fact, I'll probably go into it more next week when we cover the stage version, because this had a 12-year run.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's again we're going to be talking about the cultural impact next week, and we'll see how this two-parter, sort of format goes with shows like this, because some shows I do feel like we need to sort of expand on more, and I don't necessarily want to like make it be a bonus episode necessarily, because
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, because we had talked about that a bit, and one of the issues too, especially trying to cover theater, is unless we can see a show live, which is a little tricky around here, or if we can find something online, unless we have an actual stage production to see, we kind of have to default to a movie version.
Yes.
Which the movie versions can be very different than the stage versions,
Mhm.
as you've mentioned with other things that we've watched.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally fine if we watch a movie version and then at a later point watch a stage version if we're able to see one. And because I like seeing the differences. I like seeing the contrasts. I mean, yes, we're treading over some familiar ground, but at the same time, it's new and it's different. It's still different.
Yeah.
Because we watched a stage production of Godspell, and then we also watched the movie version of it as well. So we kind of have done that as well. Except when we did the movie version, we did it as a double feature, which hasn't been posted. Be quiet, Warren.
Well, no, it's been posted since then.
Oh, okay.
See what
I forget things.
It's fine. So we're gonna pull back the curtain a little bit. We have to record these in advance because you never know when things are going to happen in our lives.
Like illness.
Or Kay having a joint decides not to work anymore, or Kay has a freak accident with a stare, or a 73-pound excited Rottweiler mix deciding to bowl them over and stuff. And not that that's happened, but
Latte's over there in her crate.
I feel attacked. Well, sweetie, Mom had to use a cane for a couple of weeks. So, but but yeah, it's kind of a new format that I want to do when we can access both the stage and the movie. We will probably be covering the Hair movie too eventually, because that one's way different. But yeah, next week I do want to have us watch the final performance on Broadway. And I'll try not to soapbox as much as I did with this episode, because I realized that I kind of went on a tangent and didn't
that never happens
necessarily. Well,
we never go on tangents.
I guess not a tangent, more of like my own personal feelings about this show bleeding in a little bit, rather than just giving the facts. So I will give more facts next week, like about the impact on other people that are not me. And I won't rant so much about how I am sad about Angel, and
well, you should talk about the impact on people like me, like heterosexual white men. In how did we deal with this show culturally? How did it affect us? That's the real. I mean, it's the broader demographic out there. You need to talk about that. Kay is throwing daggers at me with her eyes right now.
Good Lord. But yeah, so I don't know what else I'm trying to say here. Because this show brings up a lot of emotions for a lot of reasons, for me specifically. So I guess it's good that this was the episode to let them all out, so that next week when we cover the stage production, I can be like, and here are the facts and figures about this show, and about the rent heads, the people who absolutely love this show.
Shouldn't they be called renters?
I mean, they probably should be, but I didn't make up the fandom.
I'm saying there's a lack of creativity with that name. I'm just saying.
Fair.
Come on, rent heads. Change your name to renters.
So I guess I do have a question for you. Are you thinking that we need to write Mortgage, the follow-up musical?
I think that would be hilarious, and I think that would be a way to incorporate the changes that you would like this show to have had into that, and really it'd be more of an update to the current issues of the LGBT community in modern time.
At that point, it may... Well, I mean, we won't really make up Mortgage the musical, but, I do wish that there would be a show that covered that, and maybe there is. I've been a little bit out of the loop in the last couple of years on brand new shows on Broadway, so maybe someone has done something that's...
I have a feeling that the internet would have informed you with how much you follow things like that. I feel like that would have been news, because you tend to know about a lot of art stuff, theater stuff before,
Because I haven't seen much like Rent that, like I was saying earlier, Rent really is a Gen X musical. It is a Gen X musical about the experience of being young and Gen X. I don't know if there's a musical that's about being young and a millennial, or young and Gen Z, and dealing with sexuality and dealing with, like, just the issues that are there when you're in your late teens to early 20s to maybe even into your 30s, which Rent does. And so, I don't know, there's a little bit of, like, I feel bad identifying with a show for Gen X, because there's not much for them to pull from either.
I would say don't feel bad identifying for a show that doesn't necessarily fit your specific demographic.
True.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Because people identify with lots of things, different aspects.
That's true.
I mean, it's different aspects of any... I mean, that's the thing, is any show we've watched, I do see characters in it here. Oh, I identify with that aspect of this person or this
Yeah.
aspect of this person. Like, so I mean, I think it's fine.
Okay.
But it is funny us talking about Mortgage, the musical, because now my brain is like kicking in all these ideas and stuff like that. However, nobody out there listening needs to worry because I can't write shit. And I keep Kay way too distracted for her to write a musical, so...
Well, and it's probably a good thing because it would end with a higher body count than nonsense. So
Kay murders people in her fiction.
Writing.
In her fiction, I was giving a dramatic pause. Okay.
Gotta be careful. I'm black.
Yeah.
Careful with those dramatic pauses, man. Lord.
Hey, there's no evidence. Lie and fire hide everything.
Oh my god. So
I'm just saying, if you dismember a body and spread it across different states...
Okay, so thank you guys so much for listening to Tone Deaf this
week. Thank you very much.
Again, words can't express how much we appreciate you guys. So thank you so much for listening, for supporting us, for your reviews. Just keep them coming, man.
Yeah, speaking of reviews, please give us a review and say something, anything. It can even just be thumbs up, hi, smile, just anything. You don't have to... Mortgage. Yeah, you don't have to really say anything specific. You could just type one word in there, and that's fine, because it does ratings that have reviews way higher than just ratings. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate anything and everything you guys do to just help us get a little bit wider spread. Because this is fun and we like doing it, and we enjoy seeing that people are watching week after week. It definitely brings a smile to our faces, and we hope that we bring a smile to your faces.
Yeah, so if you want to talk to us at all, first off, you could shoot us an email, tonedeafmusical@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter that's Tone Deaf Musical. We have a Facebook page that's Tone Deaf Musical. No Facebook group right now because I have super bad anxiety and I'm the one that runs both, so...
Yes, Kay is our social media guru. And if we get people joining on Facebook, hey, maybe we would create a thing, and then maybe I would dust off my Facebook account and
assist.
Hi.
Yeah, because if it's just me running a group, not gonna happen. It's too much anxiety.
That's fair.
Also, if you've got a Discord, you can join us at the Podcast Junkie Discord server. It's a really amazing community. I've got a link in the description of the podcast, as well as a link on our Twitter. There's just a bunch of amazing podcasters and listeners that hang out on there. You've got shows like Bird Brain Podcast, you've got Private Island Presents Up All Night, you've got Oz9, you've got Ninth World, you've got Podcast Junkie, just all these amazing shows. And a lot of us have our own rooms on there that you can connect with us on. We've got one for Tone Deaf. Right now it's just me on Twitter or on Discord, because Warren has a Discord, but he doesn't use it. But if you guys want to chat with him too, I could, make him maybe dust off that Discord, maybe. But it's a great community. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a podcaster, it's great for listeners too, because there's always new shows that you can check out on there, and everyone's just super chill and super nice. So join us on there if you like. It's a great place, great fun.
Just thank you again, guys, so much. We will be back next week with Rent Part 2,
The Revenge.
Or Electric Boogaloo. Or The Revenge.
The Revenge of the Electric Boogaloo.
The Rent-Venge.
The Rent-Venge.
Yes. Rent 2, The Rent-Venge. Rent 2 would be kind of sad, because it would just be Mark, Joanne, and Maureen.
They'd have new friends by now.
They would, but, out of the original group.
Hey, look at it this way. fewer people would die of AIDS in the sequel.
This is true.
Well, hopefully. Who knows? Who knows?
Ugh. Man. Yeah. This show is a rough one, so sorry for the jokes, because it's rough subject matter. It's a rough show.
Good show.
It's a very good show. Dredges up a lot of emotions, which is the point of theater, I believe, so...
That's why the iconic picture is the laughing face and the crying face.
Yep. All those.
The extreme ranges of emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Pure joy and ultimate sorrow.
Yes.
Together.
Nonsense and Rent.
I was gonna make a joke about Bat Boy, but then Edgar.
Yeah, the one musical to make you misty.
It's true.
So thank you guys again. We'll see you next week. I'm Kay.
I'm Warren.
And this has been
Tone Deaf.